People and their jobs, they should have a sense of narcissism. It's not a bad thing per se. In its extreme, it can be a personality disorder. Now that is usually bad. So we think of some really dysfunctional people that might have that. So I'm going to talk about the trait, not necessarily the disorder, and I'll get into what that means. So the second programs of what CEOs, how they exhibit narcissism, I'm going to talk about what narcissism is. You may have in your mind already some expectations about what you think narcissism is. You've heard this term, you may have used the term, but it's a little more intricate than you may think at first. To start, you need to go all the way back to Greek mythology and understand where the term Narcissus comes from. So here's one of the famous pictures of Narcissus looking in the pond, and he sees an image of himself. And so there's some text there that kind of gives background to the story. All that is lovely in himself he loves, and in limitless ways he wants himself. Yet never may he wreath his arms around the image of himself. He knows not what he there beholds. And this is the first key point. People often think of narcissism as self-love, where the image in the text says he knows not what he there beholds. It's not necessarily about self-love. Okay? There's actually some self-hatred, a lack of self-recognition. He does not recognize who he is, okay, in the image. So that he sees inflames his longing, and the air that deceives allures his eyes. The wire for his boy, so vainly catching at the splitting form. The seed that you are seeking has no place. Avert your gaze, and you will lose your love. For this that holds your eyes is nothing save the image of yourself reflected back. It comes and waits with you. It has no life. It will depart, and you will only go. So if we think of narcissism not as self-love, more the self-hatred helps us get into the psychological roots of where it comes from. Some of the categories that you might think explain what this is are traits such as being authoritative. Someone has a sense that they have authority, they're commanding presence. It may feel that they are superior, that they're better than other people, that they have better knowledge or better ability than others. They have a sense of self-sufficiency, that they can do it on their own. They don't need help from others. They can do it. Now, if you think about those three traits, they're often actually called kind of the good side of narcissism. Think about someone like me, a professor. If I'm going to stand up in front of a room of students and try to teach them, you need to have some sense of authority, that you are the authority figure as the teacher. You even have to have a sense of superiority, that you might have knowledge that's worth imparting to people, that you can help benefit them. And a sense of self-sufficiency is often admired in people, that they are disciplined, they can take care of themselves, they're independent. So those traits, to argue, might actually be a good thing. Now, these other traits aren't clearly as a good thing. Exhibitionism. This is the sense that they want to be seen, and they're going to make a show. They're going to try to get attention and have a claim from other people. This is the trait of vanity, where people, this is the kind of self-love that people usually think of with narcissism, that they want to look good all the time, they want their image to be sharp and pristine. And the way they get this is usually through exploitative means. They don't care about what other people happens to them. They lack empathy, and so they're going to exploit situations for their own benefit. And the last one is entitlement. And this type of entitlement is not necessarily the general sense of entitlement. It's really narcissistic entitlement. It's malignant. It's really negative, that they think they deserve more than other people. Some of the things that we've seen in general research on narcissism is that they're really great at finding opportunities for self-enhancement. When they're presented with a situation that it benefits them, they'll go after it. They'll make it happen, make themselves look good. They'll constantly seek for the attention of others. And I'm going to show you some ways that narcissistic CEOs do this that really affects how firms function as they seek attention. If you've ever met a narcissist and you tried to deliver negative criticism, it doesn't go well. Okay? They don't hear it. Okay? There's been research that actually shows that they psychologically, cognitively, do not process the information. Just in one ear and out the other. That's kind of especially true of narcissists. And what happens when you do that, they often respond negatively, and that's where you see things like low integrity. Okay, those close situations, they're not truthful at all times. They'll engage in deviant behavior, and I'll show you that narcissistic CEOs engage in that in certain ways. There's a couple cards that help explain, I think, distinctly how you should think about narcissists. So this is from a group of psychologists, and they say think of narcissists as individuals for whom enhancing the positivity of the self, specifically to achieve status and esteem, is overwhelmingly important. Much of their psychological and social lives is directed toward this goal. When they wake up, they think about it. When they're going out for the day, they think about it. This occupies their mind and their life. The next quote comes from a popular press book that you may have seen or read called The Mirror Effect, where we'll have celebrities accentuate the narcissism in our society. And here they say that narcissists are masters at creating ways of getting what they do need to exist. Positive feedback and stroking from others. And this ties back to that disconnect that narcissists, when he couldn't recognize himself, when a narcissist is disconnected from their self-image, they're often looking for ways to reinforce what they think their self-image is. So they look for positive feedback, stroking from others. Why is this important today? This is not a new personality trait, but as evidence suggests that it's something that we should be aware of and think about in today's world. So it's a little bit of data that I can show you the trend as we continue upwards. What we have here are scores on a narcissistic personality inventory, which is the psychological measure you fill out to. You see here is back in 1980, the average on that scale is about 15. And we've seen a steady increase. That's in the data, those college sophomores. So the same group every year is college sophomores. And you see it just creeping out. If you took this today, I promise you it would be even higher, based on my experience with college students. And they show that 1 out of 16 of those of all ages experience symptoms of this. So it's not just college students, it's adults and people in all walks of life. The actual increase, that was a 13% increase in the average score. Another study, which was a huge sample, showed that 6% of the population experienced high levels of narcissism. That's a lot of people when you think about how many people are. In general, men are more narcissistic than women. And younger people are more narcissistic than older people. What causes this? Where does this trait of narcissism come from? Is it something we're born with? Does it develop over time? The first explanation is a clinical one. And this view kind of says, what happens in your upbringing that affects how you behave. So in its extreme form, the disorder form is caused by early childhood trauma in the form of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse, or severe neglect. Such early childhood experiences threaten self-esteem. Okay? Think about the not being able to recognize yourself. Okay? That's what happens when a young child experiences early childhood trauma when they're developing their self-image, and we disrupt it. Okay? And they can't connect with it. It leads to feelings of shame, emptiness, and self-blame, which cause an unrelenting desire to seek attention, admiration, and external validation. That's the extreme form. And it's happening. Here's some data from 1980 to 1983. The incidence of maltreatment of children per 1,000 children rose from 9.8 to 23.1, doubling over that 13-year period. Taking up from the end of that sample to 2006, emotionally neglected children more than doubled. So what we're seeing is, as societal things decay, family units, more child born out of wedlock, all these kind of social trends we see, they really affect children in their development, and that leads to maladaptive personality traits, such as narcissism.
アジ関東が来ないんですよね。アジ関東のバスが
どっかから来てると思うんですよ。
僕
はもうここ止まってたんでいるんですけど、結構出てくると思います。
This is generally the baby boomers who had a bad childhood, so they overcorrected. They raised a generation of mostly the millennials that have these over-involved, praising parents that protect their kids and have some bad effects. People want to be very individualistic. They want to achieve and give their children a better life. This is where we see things like everyone gets a trophy. You go to AYS with soccer game, here's a trophy for the last place team, right? You've seen that mocked in many commercials. But there's a real psychological value that's communicated. They say, you didn't do well, you underperformed, but we're still going to recognize your achievements. Okay? That helps contribute to the sense of narcissism. I need to be praised, I need to have attention. Other people aren't entitled to get things, even though I may not deserve them. This is one of my favorite quotes about narcissism. I think it sums up why it's such an issue. This is from a psychiatrist, because obviously that was the more extreme form of it. He says the bubble of narcissism is always at risk of bursting. That's why young people are higher on drugs than ever, drunker than ever, smoking more, tattooed more, pierced more, and having more and more sex. Earlier and earlier, raising babies before they can do it well, because it makes them feel special for a while. They're doing anything to distract themselves from the fact that they feel empty inside and unworthy. That's a sobering commentary on the society. And for me, it's just a reminder of how important it is with my own children, right? I don't want this, okay? That's why as a parent, they try to develop healthier ways of dealing with interaction with the world. So there you know what narcissism is, that kind of base. And this is what I delved into and said, this is a world of narcissism. What is this interesting in accounting research? Is honestly not that interesting sometimes. You can imagine debits, credits, wow, so interesting, right? So I wanted to the personality, if I make this work, can I have a career studying something I find interesting, but do it in the accounting world, business world, and
あ、どうも。すみません。
that I've drawn upon and find to be useful. And it doesn't really matter what the measures are, okay, we're kind of agnostic, but these are ones that actually turn out to be valid. The first ones are the relative pay. Remember, see, narcissists feel superior, right? And they want to have a sense of superiority, so you can imagine their pay gap. Because to see if they're paid $1 million, they want to pay $2 million, okay? And so we see a bigger pay gap, both in their cash and their options.